Hey everyone, so we're finally back on the trail. It's been a little over a year. We haven't had a chance to go hiking with everything that's been going on in the world and in our lives, but now we're back on the trail. We're excited. We decided to take advantage of the setup in the Smoky Mountains. So we're going to do one more hike here in the Smoky Mountains, but this time it's the Appalachian Trail, starting at Fontana Dam and ending at Big Creek Campground. So we'll do the whole thing. We're planning for about 7 days, I think it is, 6 nights. Should be a great hike. We're looking forward to it. We'll talk a little bit more as things progress. And it starts. So day one is supposed to be something like 10 miles, but it's mostly uphill. So we'll see how it works out. We ended up driving through the night. We left about midnight last night. It takes about 5 hours to get up this way, and then a couple hours to kind of stage a vehicle at the end and drive back over here to Fontana Dam. So I'm gonna sleep good tonight. So we've been hiking now for like an hour,
2 miles.
Hour and a half or so. We're all wondering, like, man, where's the Appalachian Trail? Where are the white blazes? We left from Fontana Dam, and I guess the Appalachian, maybe it doesn't start out right there, but we finally found our first blaze. Whew. Good stuff. So from end to end, Fontana to Big Creek, it's supposed to be a little under 80 miles. I say we're planning for 7 days. Really it's 6 days, because our last day is just like 2 or 3 miles from the shelter that we have a reservation for down to where we've got a car to exit. No resupply through here, so we're carrying all of our food, stocked up pretty good on water. I think we all started with a little under 2 liters of water. I've got maybe 1.5 pounds or a little more than 1.5 pounds of food for each night, for each day. With an 11-pound base weight, I think my pack's weighing in at right around 24-25 pounds total. Food, water, fuel, and base weight. If you haven't hiked in the Smokies, you have to reserve all your campsites or shelters, depending on what trail you're on. And that kind of leads us to why we're doing this Appalachian Trail through the Smokies now. Because normal regulations state if you reserve a shelter, you're supposed to stay in the shelter. And none of us like that idea. We're hammock hangers. We want to sleep in our hammocks. Well, because of COVID-19, they've modified their rules. And as long as you have a valid permit for a shelter, you can camp either in a tent or a hammock in the surrounding area of the shelter. So there's no better time for us to hike the length of the Smokies and still get to use our hammocks the way we want. Getting there, 3.7 miles in, about 6 more miles to go. All right, so it's about 12 o'clock, or now 1 o'clock. We stopped for lunch, drank a liter of water, and we're filled up on another liter of water. which should take us all the way to our campsite. We've probably got another 4 or 5 miles to go. What campsite is this?
Birch Spring.
Birch Spring campsite. So we just came off the AT. It's like 0.1 miles down the hill to Birch Springs campsite. Decent little water spot. Kind of shielded from the wind from way up there. So pretty good lunch. I wasn't really sure what to expect elevation wise coming up from Fontana Dam. It's a lot of elevation, kind of up and down. Reminds me a lot of the Linville Gorge. Whew. Where you kind of start out at about 1,900 feet and you go up and down from 4,000 feet. I think we're sitting at around 4,200 feet right now. We've got to go down to 38 and then make a push up the last mile to Molly's Ridge Shelter at like 4,500. So definitely not a walk in the park, but certainly doable. Whew. Hey, so day 2. I didn't catch any video last night. It was getting dark as we were coming into the shelter, into our campsite. Really good day yesterday. A lot more challenging than I expected, but it always is. So today seems like it's going to be a little easier. I don't know. About 7 o'clock, we just had water, some breakfast. We're getting ready to go. We ended up just finding a couple trees back there, all right off the trail for staying last night. There's the shelter. I got a couple bear hanging lines right here, one over there. Met some pretty cool guys last night, sat around a fire, talked a little bit. All in all, really great day. And we're off. Kind of a neat tree. Almost looks like it's grown up out of the rock. Oh, so we're roughly 6 miles into our day. The plan is to stop just off the AT at a Spence Ridge, or no, Spence Field shelter. Eat some lunch and then stock back up on water there. Well, so far it has not been as tough as coming up from Fontana, but I think all of our elevation gain today is the second half here, so we'll see. Whew. So we found Spence Field Shelter. The sign up there on the AT says 0.2 miles to get here. but we measured on the GPS, it's only 1.5 mile, or 0.15. So it was pretty quick to get here. These shelters along the AT, I guess they rebuilt them recently in the last few years, are fantastic. I don't know if every shelter's like this, but all the ones we've seen so far are really solid looking structures with a little fireplace, fire ring out front. Yeah, this is basically what they've been looking like. So we're gonna take this, it's 11:43. We're gonna take this as our lunch break, rest up, and see how the next 6 miles does for us. All right, lunch is done. It's about 1 o'clock. We took a 45-minute lunch. Ended up talking to a couple guys at the shelter. So, pretty good. I didn't eat a ton, but I got hydrated. We'll see how this goes. Woo! This trail just keeps on giving. We're somewhere over 10 miles for the day. A couple miles out from our shelter location. I still say today was easier than yesterday. It was still hard, but I don't feel nearly as bad as I did rolling into camp yesterday. And if you're coming from Fontana Dam, the first 2 days here, this first 20 miles, 23 miles is supposed to be some of the tougher stuff. Anyway, I don't know if we're gonna make it to camp before dark. The sun's just going down really early right now, being in November. So we'll see how much filming we can get done. We're racing the sun. We got like 1 more mile to go to the shelter. And it's 5 o'clock. The sun's going down. Might be setting up in the dark tonight. Good morning. So as we expected, it was dark when we rolled into camp. I mean, just enough light to get down to the water source, and by the time we got back up, we were setting up our hammocks in the dark. Nice shelter, nice area. This was a lot better for hammock camping than Molly's Ridge. So we're at Derrick Knob right now. Lots and lots of trees, good open space for finding places to hang hammocks. Again, met a bunch of cool people at the shelter last night. Sat around a fire for a few minutes, went to bed early. Today's plan is another 12, 13 miles. We're gonna be going to the top of Clingmans Dome. So it's gonna be a little bit of uphill today. Anyway,
a lot of uphill.
Let me finish getting stuff together and we'll get on the trail. All right, we're off. Clingmans Dome, here we come. Okay, elevation profiles can be misleading sometimes. I'm sitting here thinking like today's just going to be up all day. We're just short of 4 miles into our hike today, coming from Derrick Knob heading to Mount Collins. And there's been a few ups and downs, you know, 200 feet here, 300 feet there. But all in all, it's been a pleasant hike so far. Well, we made it to our lunch spot. I forget the name of this shelter. I'll have to look that up. So we're 6 miles in for the day. We certainly found the elevation that last mile or so. I think the rest of today is going to be pretty much uphill. Yeah, same as the other ones. So back on trail. That was Sailor's Knob shelter. We took right at an hour for lunch. Stocked back up on water. I don't think really the next good water source is either too close or too far away. So anyway, back at it. Make it. What a view. It's neat when you get to a certain elevation, the kinds of trees that are growing changes. We're a little over 5,500 feet, I believe, right now. Very cool. Well, we are officially walking through my favorite section. The way these trees look. We just passed a sign that said Clingmans Dome 2.2 miles. So we're getting there. Below 6,000 feet. We still got like 300 or 400 more to go. I think we're at like 6,100. 6,200. What a view. What a view. Alright, so we just visited Clingmans Dome. Took a picture. Boy, there's an awful lot of people. Lots of strollers and little kids. I guess it's a really beautiful day to come up here and see these kind of views. The weather's great. We're a little disappointed. We thought we had like 2 miles left to the Mount Collins shelter. And this is going to be a safe way down. There we go. It looks, we just saw a sign that said 4 miles. So we'll see which one's right. If it's 4 miles, we'll be getting in at dark again. If it's 2, well, happy day. All in all, the trail up to Clingmans Dome, it's steep, but it's easier or better than coming up from Fontana. It wasn't as miserable. We were able to still make pretty good time. All right, so we're on our last push uphill for the day. We got another 400 feet to go up. We get to the top of Mount Collins, and then it's downhill to the Mount Collins shelter. Looks like it's really going to be that 4 miles. So instead of a 13-mile day like we planned, I think we're going to end up with closer to a 15-mile day, or maybe a little more. You know, we've been rolling into camp right at about the time it gets dark. Haven't had to do any night hiking. Looks like we might have to do some of that. We'll see. We still got a little ways to go. Whew. All right, we just finished getting to the top of Mount Collins. We're on our down stretch for the last mile to the shelter. Woo! What a day. It's been the prettiest day so far. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, good morning. So we made it into camp right at dark. We didn't have to do any night hiking, but we didn't have much time. It's the next day. What are we, Tuesday? Day 4?
7:32.
We're leaving Mount Collins Shelter, which is about a half mile off the Appalachian Trail. It was a little further down than I thought. Decent little shelter. The shelter itself is the same as all the other shelters we've seen. Hanging spots was kind of limited, but you can certainly fit a few hammocks down in there. All in all, good morning so far. We're getting on the trail, heading to Ice Water Shelter. Should be a little bit shorter of a day, like 8 miles, something like that. A little bit of uphill.
We'll call it 10.
Yeah, we'll call it 10 since we're in the Smokies. Anyway, let's hit the trail. So yeah, we ended up with kind of a wet night. It didn't rain real hard, but it kind of misted and sprinkled all night. Gonna tour everything down from the hammock and then organize ourselves inside the shelter. Met another guy, Greg. He's doing the Thru-Hike of the Smokies, but he started at Davenport. Well, checking in, we're about 3 miles or so from our shelter. We're at 5590 in elevation, kind of still steadily going down. I think once we hit Newfound Gap, then it's straight up for a while. The trail's been really nice coming out of Mount Collins Shelter. Very, very appreciated. The views are non-existent as it's just fog everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's not Newfound Gap, is it?
No, it's Indian Gap.
Newfound Gap is 1.7 miles.
Yep. Not quite there yet.
Let's see.
Cool history here though. You imagine being out here in overalls, button-up shirt, boots.
Everything's full.
Everything's wool.
It's fucking July.
Yeah, and it's July, and you're like trying to guide ponies with sleds, you know, with logs and stuff. Oh man, crazy. I'm walking up the trail. There's a fence in the middle of the Smoky Mountains. Somebody really wanted a fence. Beach Forest enclosure. Oh, it's fencing for wild hog and non-native animals. Okay. And you can't really see it. That makes sense. Well, we found Newfound Gap. Lord have mercy. Look at all these people. Hey, there's heads over there. We're gonna stop here, this parking lot, eat our lunch, kind of an early lunch.
It's only
There's a place to drop
10:30.
off some trash, and the head's open. Hey, take care. Yeah. Well, 40 minutes later, we're done with lunch. I had this Bridgeford pizza thing. It kind of reminds me of an old MRE packet. Oh man, was that good. I'm gonna be buying more of those. We're gonna get back on trail. We've only got about 3 more miles to Ice Water. So that must be Newfound Gap Road right down there. Got a motivated family up here, walking up the hill. We got a Kephart shelter, 3.7 miles. Looks like Ice Water Springs shelter, 1.3 miles away. Not too bad. And we have arrived. Whew. All right, this might be the only day I get into camping early enough to show you what I've got set up. Still rocking the Cuban fiber tarp. The strap system, a little bit of Dutch bling on it. Some Dutch bling flies for my tarp line. And then on the inside, we still have the blue hammock, which I think I'm going to retire soon. My homemade top quilt, my homemade underquilt. So nothing really new gear-wise. You know, I have expanded the kit a little bit. I recently got a Mott Bell thermowrap jacket. It's been fantastic out here. The temperatures kind of get down to about 40 and get up to, you know, the upper 50s, and that thermowrap jacket is just perfect for that, you know, that range. Got a couple Cuban fiber bags. I got a new Cuban fiber steak bag, which I really like. These things are awesome. And I got a bear bag, which I really like so far. Not a whole lot of stuff. The base weight for the whole set, and I'll post it on lighterpack.com. It's like 12 pounds or something. I walked out of here with 7 days of food, 6.5 days of food. So I think I had 25 pounds, 26 pounds total when we started on the trail. Good morning, day 5. So we had a nice wet night. It rained steady all night. Everything is soaking wet. But that's okay, because that's all part of the fun, right? So we're gonna hit the trail. We got about 13 miles today. It's gonna be an awesome day. Anyway, we just got finished packing up. Let's hit the trail. On the road again. The trail is good and wet, but the temperature's pretty good. It's not very cold. It's gotta be in the 50s, right? 50s, low, upper 50s maybe.
Yeah. Thanks for a nice steamy day.
This is probably the warmest day we've had. Warmest morning. We got to the turnoff for Charlie's Bunion, but we don't think we're gonna bother. Even with the fog, it's still awfully pretty. Look at that. You know, I always wondered if they replaced these signs. Look at this thing. It's brand spanking new.
The mounting hardware's not even
Yeah.
galvanized.
Very cool. Yep, Smoke Mount Campground, 8 miles that way. That's it. It's hard to convey what being on a ridgeline's like, right? We got about 10 feet of space here, left and right. And then it just goes down. And it just goes down. All right, 5 feet. But this is what we're going to be walking on most of the day. Just up and over along the ridge line. Wind just blowing over top. What a cool experience. Gotta love that view. Well, there was an 80% chance of rain today. It's raining. Woo! 6 miles in. Feeling good. So the rain finally let up a little.
For the moment.
For the moment anyway. So now we're just cold and wet. Whew. A nice little section of trail. All right. The inReach says 13.4 miles. We're a little over 60 total. We made it to our shelter for the night. It's only 3 o'clock. Not bad for a bunch of old guys. Good day. Tri-corner knob. Hanging spots are a little thin. You got the shelter down there. We're kind of up the hill a little bit. So everything's going to be on an angle. And unfortunately, we're awfully close to the bear line and the poop house. We're all set up on this hill. We're going to grab our water stuff, some food, and go say hi to the people in the shelter. So another good night. We're on day 6. We've got a big day today, but it's a lot of downhill for the most part. The plan is to do 16 miles and get to our vehicle to get on out of here. You know, we have reservations. If we wanted to stay at Newfound Gap, we could. We think we'll just push onto the vehicle and hit the road. What a cool trip so far. I mean, it's an experience. Hiking the Smoky Mountains. Well, it looks like today we'll get some views. Look at all that fog over the mountains. Man. We're sitting at 6,200 feet. This has been our trail all morning. Just water everywhere. There is no keeping feet dry. I don't care what kind of boots you're wearing. Woo, checking in. We're like 7.5 miles into the day. Been a lot of downhill. We've had two uphills, like, I don't know, a couple hundred feet, maybe 400 or 500 feet this last one. We got the top of Crosby Knob. We're heading kind of down now. Maybe a half mile, we'll get to the Crosby Knob shelter. And we're gonna stop there and have lunch. We're halfway through our day. It's 11 o'clock. Here's our shelter. We're gonna have lunch. I guess you could fit some hammocks in here if you had to, huh? You always end up hanging closer to the bear lines than you want, though. Like, the bear lines are right where the good trees are. Maybe you'd have to go down the hill over there somewhere. Alrighty, lunch is done. We took about 45 minutes. Got a little bit of water, a little bit of food in us. Got about 0.8 miles left of going down into Low Gap. And then we'll have about an 800-foot climb to the top of Mount Camerer. I think that's how you pronounce it. Before we just go down the rest of the day. So, not too bad. Made really good time. I mean, we knocked out 8 miles in, I don't know, 4 hours today. But a good chunk of it was downhill, of course. Alright, this looks like Low Gap. So, next up, Mount Camerer. Woo! Well, I think we're over Mount Camerer, or at the top anyway. Now it's time to start going down. Next up is Newfound Gap. 5 miles. So, actually had reservations at Davenport shelter. We all kind of decided last night we would go ahead and just hike to our vehicle. We didn't want to park at Davenport because there's too many car break-ins. So we parked about 2 miles south at Big Creek Campground, where we've parked before. So up here in about 3 or 4 miles, we're gonna hop off the AT and hop on Chestnut Branch Trail and take that for a couple miles down towards our vehicle. We're gonna be out of here today. Smoky Mountains in 6 days. Wow, what a hike. And we have made it to the Chestnut Branch Trail. We are 76 miles into our hike, 14 miles into it for today. We got 2 more miles back to the car. Not too bad. It's 3 o'clock, a little after 3. Whew. How you guys doing?
Great. Ready to go.
See, one of the coolest things about a hike like this, in the last, day and a half, we've gone from just under 6,000 feet, and we're at about 2,000 feet right now in elevation. And all the different types of forest that exist just in those, 4,000 feet of elevation. The different types of trees and plant life that like to grow. It's super neat to see all that diversity. I think my favorite, I believe Nick's favorite too, are kind of like the fir trees, I guess, the Christmas tree type trees that grow up closer to 6,000 feet.
Everything.
Yeah, moss covering everything on the ground.
Very storybook.
Very, very cool. And we are officially done. We're at the end of Branch Creek Trail. 78 miles, 17 miles for the day. Whew. Anyway, catch you next time.